Everybody. This is my first live stream on Facebook, and I'm looking at looks like a chat window, and I'm going to wait for a couple of people to come on, and I'll start at 4 o'clock. Hi, Heather, if you're here with me. Okay, it is 4 o'clock. So thanks for joining me this time to talk about subtle body and nutrition. I wanted to just welcome all of you to this stream and give you a little bit of a background. Some of you may or may not know that I've been practicing yoga and practicing subtle body work for a really long time, and have studied these practices with most beautiful teachers. To start with the Himalayan Institute, Nishit Patel and Sandra Anderson and Rolf Sovik started teaching me hatha yoga practices back in 1990 something. I also studied with Eddie Stern at the Yogashala in New York City, and he is very well versed in subtle body practices. Carlos Pomito and his work and philosophy. The Bhakti and devotional studies with Raghunath Kapo, Baron Baptiste and his power yoga studies, Hari Karkasa and the Kundalini studies, and most recently, my dearest teacher, Kimberly Teresa Lafferty, who is mostly who I am teaching from, the work that she had taught us, our esoteric studies in Tibetan Buddhism. And then I also have done a lot of work with Anadia Judith and the chakras, and recently studied with Maria Rasaburo in a group called Spiral Dancing, and those are earth shamanic studies. So lots of experience and background in working with the subtle body, and all of these teachers are masters, and I'm so grateful for their work and for their teachings. So thank you. So what I'm talking about today is the subtle body and what it is, how it's a little bit different than what we might identify as anxiety. We're in a time right now that is it's very charged, right? It's crisis oriented, it's dramatic, it's sad, it's isolating, it's electrifying, it's scary, it's fearful. There's a lot going on. And most of us are communicating through this technology medium, which we're so grateful for, because we can stay connected, and we can learn, and we can still go to school, and we can still have classes, and we can still connect with people. And we have this technology now that we can do that, and that's really, really amazing. But what's happening is that we're being supercharged. So we're being supercharged emotionally, and we're being supercharged physically. But before I get into what it is that I want to share with you about practices and definitions, I just want to back up a little bit and share with you a little story about how I got here today. And I also want to give you a little housekeeping note that I will be teaching for about, I'm going to say 20 to 30 minutes so that you can gauge that time. And then it'll be on my feed, and you can share it if you find that it's helpful for some other people. So about 20 to 30 minutes, that's our time frame. So yesterday I was on Zoom and on conference calls via Zoom or GoToWebinars or conference calls through 3 ways on Apple phone. I mean, you name it, right? From 7 a.m. all the way through to 7 p.m. as well as doing my own practices and eating and taking care of Bianca and all the normal things that I need to do and talk to my family and check in with people and to go grocery shopping. I had to go to the grocery, I had to return a car, the worldly things, as well as all this work thing through technology. And it was about 7 o'clock and I was completely fried. Completely fried. I felt like I had rode a bicycle in a triathlon, like the marathon, not the marathon. What is it called? The Ironman, right? I'd never done an Ironman, but I was like, I feel like I've just like gone through this Ironman thing. I'm exhausted. What has happened? And I was also very flighty. I was unfocused. I couldn't decide to go in this room or that room. I was just really disoriented. And I stopped for a moment, took a big breath, and thankfully I have these tools and I have these experiences and I have been taught what this is. And I recognize exactly what was happening for me. And I recognized that I was suffering from what is termed in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition as lung. It's spelled Lung, lung. And I reached out to my teacher and I said, thank God I recognize the difference between an anxiety attack and anxiousness and an emotional state of panic and a lung disorder, because I am so supercharged that I've got to eat a big bean soup and make bread and pasta and all of this comfort food that's very weighted and rooted to calm me down. And I was just so thankful for those teachings. And there's a lot more to these teachings, but basically she piped back and said, well, it sounds like it's time for you to teach about subtle body and nutrition and what this is. And I was like, oh, I guess it is, because I'm sure that I'm not the only one that's experiencing this. So that's how today came to be. And from my sense of gratitude for the teachings, and now I am sharing these teachings in a bite-sized, practical, applicable way with you. So from the top, let's just start with, what am I talking about when I talk about the subtle body, or when anybody talks about the subtle body? So I want to define our three bodies, and we have all three of them going on at the same time, right? Three parts of our body, but they're all one body. And the three bodies are gross, subtle, and causal. Gross, subtle, causal. The gross body is the body that is our physical form. It's the body that we move, we run, we walk, we swim, we weight train, right? We use our physical form. We dance, okay, our physical form. The subtle body is that body that is inside of us. It's not separate from us. It's still our physical body. It's inside of us, but it's a little bit less tangible. It's a little less gross, right? It's a little more subtle. Like, these words have direct relationships with exactly what they are. Subtle body. And subtle body practices include yoga, tai chi, qigong, right? Things that move the body in an energetic way, but they're a little less physical. I mean, we're still using the physical, but they're a little less physical. They're more subtle. And then there's the causal body, right? And our causal body is that body that is associated with witnessing, with meditation, with relaxation, right? So all of these are happening all the time, right? Or contemplation. That's another causal body. It's a little bit more about deep rest or deep contemplation. It's a good way to reference it. So our gross body is our physical body. Our subtle body is that more subtle body. And the causal body is that more it's not outside of us. It's just a little bit, like a little bit more distant. Okay. And another way to think about gross, subtle, and causal is like our relationship to states of states of being. So our gross body would be our waking state, for example. Our subtle body would be our dreaming state, right? That space in between. And the causal body would be that deep sleep, really solid, deep, deep, deep sleep. So then we have the koshas and we have the Ayurvedic elements of vata, pitta, and kapha, and those are all related to our gross or subtle and our causal. But I want to keep things really simple today. So mapping out those differences and understanding how to use them, right? So I gave you an example of practices. And now let's talk about food for a minute. So think about the gross body, right? When our physical body is dense, right? And we want to be lighter. We want to eat different foods. So if our gross body, our physical form, wants to be leaner and lighter and more fit, and we're using weights and we're running and we're walking, we're at the gym, we're doing these physical activities, our food will fuel those activities, but they might be a little more light and lean. Like you might want to have more things like green raw salads and fresh juices, um, lean meats if you eat meat, limited butters and oils because you're cutting back on the calories. You don't want to be heavy. You don't want to be weighted. You want to be light. Okay. So the gross body, when we're working these physical practices and we have the intention of being lighter and leaner, we have a tendency to eat in that way, lighter and leaner. Now let's talk about subtle body. When our subtle body practices invite us to be lighter and leaner, we often eat the same things. And they can be calming and they can be supportive. But when our subtle body starts to get off balance and it feels like your body is being plugged into an electric socket, it feels like if you are prone to anxiety attacks, or you are prone to panic, or you are prone to worry, it feels like that is happening. And yet maybe you don't have anything to worry about, or you don't have anything to panic about. Now, here's where things are tricky right now. We have a lot to worry about. We have a lot to panic about, and we have a lot to be anxious about. So there's this fine line of, is this me being anxious emotionally, or is this my subtle body being completely just jazzed? And how do I work with this? So my recommendation is, first, when we're thinking about, which one is it? Is it this or is it that? You have to just go through a little bit of a causal body practice. You need to sit, you need to contemplate, you need to be aware, you need to breathe, you need to witness and go and identify, what is this? What is happening? What has happened in my past that feels like this? Is this new? Is this my body, subtle body, going jazzy? Or is this my emotional landscape influencing my jazzy sensation in my subtle body, right? You have to be a little bit of this, investigator. For me, for example, just tying it back to my earlier story, I realized that I actually felt emotionally pretty centered, but physiologically, I was all over the map. So I knew from these practices the foods that would support that and help bring me down. One thing is, I'm just going to give a little shout out to the yogi tea here. I don't know if you can see, it's the Kava. Well, let me see if it's the Kava stress relief. Typically, I would only have a box of this and it would take me about a year to get through because I only would use it when I needed it. When I was emotionally charged and needed a little bit of soothing and calming. Now I have 4 full boxes of it. 4 full boxes of it stuffed. I keep it in stock because I am drinking it 2 to 3 times a day. 2 to 3 times a day. the foods that nourish the subtle body, right? Now, even if it's an emotional state, right? It's still going, your subtle body is still part of this. It's, you get what I mean, I hope, right? Meaning the foods that you eat are going to help you no matter what. So the foods that are going to support the subtle body when it's overstimulated are root vegetables, potatoes, beets, parsnips, carrots. Stay off the sugar, stay off the caffeine. Like anything that's going to jazz you, tone it down. Drink the Kava stress relief tea. Drink warm teas, warm juices, or not warm juices, but warm liquids. I mean, I guess if you like warm juices, you could drink warm juices, but um, stay away from anything that's too acidic. Um, if you're a meat eater, eat meats. If you're not a meat eater, work towards beans and cooked vegetables. So if you like a lot of greens and you're missing your salads, I would encourage you to just pull back on the salads a little bit and add some cooked greens, cooked spinach, cooked kale, cooked um, uh, okra, cooked zucchini, right? So get those greens in a cooked form. Cooked broccoli. I had a lot of broccoli. And then for those of you who can eat dairy, cheeses are really helpful in pulling down the energy. Nut butters, almond butter, peanut butter, cashew butter, macadamia butter, the nuts themselves, although the raw nuts can sometimes be a little stimulating. Stay away from ginger. Ginger can be stimulating. It's a heating herb, so it can be stimulating. Funny, Daniel. It's my cup. Nice to see you here. What else? What else is good? Grounding foods. So anything warm, anything rooted, right? That's going to be really, really helpful. Practices, again, include subtle body practices like yoga, and restorative yoga practices are really helpful. But when your subtle body is supercharged, hi, Aunt Bobby. When your subtle body is supercharged, it's really good to be a little bit more physical. So get out in nature. It's no surprise that people are around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Everyone's out taking walks. They need to feel grounded, get sunshine, get moving. So that can also help to calm the nervous system, calm the subtle body, calm your emotions. What else? I'm open to suggestions too, but gardening is really supportive. And then baths, hot baths, or if you have a hot tub, get in water. Water can be really helpful to pull the energy down and to be very calming and relaxing. Um, um, I think that's about it. I think when we're taught, I mean, it's enough. It's a lot of information, but when we're taught these practices, we're being taught them in a retreat setting, meaning we're being taught to do a lot of meditation, a lot of mantra, a lot of movement, a lot of alone time, and a lot of elevating and inspiring foods. And it's very, very, very easy to get this, what we call this lung disorder. And so we'll go through very, very intense training to be to identify what it is. The other thing that's really good, right? So these teachings that I'm telling you are things not only have I personally experienced, but I've been taught them. They're bona fide teachings that people use and have found effective. The other thing is to read novels or do something totally, whatever it is that you want to do, like read, I don't know, Field and Stream magazine or Cosmopolitan, or look at something totally different. Get off technology, get off the phone, get off gaming, games, technology, get off of all of that, and you'll start to calm again and reconnect. But probably the number one foods are peanut butter, almond butter, avocado, bananas, macaroni and cheese, like all those comfort foods, soups. Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, I said it would be about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and that's my timing. So we're coming to the end of our little lesson here on subtle body. I didn't put a mention in the description why we think we need to drink alcohol during this time, right? And a lot of that is because alcohol does help to calm the nervous system. Unfortunately, it only works for like the first wash, if you will, and then physiologically it takes on a whole different dimension and is counter effective, and therefore then people keep drinking more and it continues to be counter effective. To learn more about the physiological effects of drinking alcohol, I would suggest looking at Annie Grace's work, The Naked Mind. She gives some really hardcore and pretty straightforward information about what alcohol does physiologically. If you like to drink and drinking is a part of your lifestyle, and I'm a certified somm and I taste with people and I do have alcohol in my life, it's a sensitive time to bring alcohol into your body when you are feeling very anxious. It will actually be counter effective. So I would suggest waiting until you feel a little bit more grounded, a little bit more connected, and definitely have it with some food, especially wine with food. So that's my little plug there for alcohol. It feels like it's something that is helpful, and it is very momentarily, and then it turns into another wave. So to learn more about your Ayurvedic principles, there are plenty of resources out there. You can DM me privately and I can put you in touch with a couple of people that might be able to help you. Knowing your constitution is really helpful to identify when you have imbalances and what to do about it. And I am also an Arbonne consultant, and I work with Arbonne, and they have a 30-day to healthy living program that starts April 6th, which is really supportive for your system. You get a lot of support, a lot of recipes, and it's a perfect time to do something like that. If that's something that you want to talk to me about, just DM me privately, and I can tell you about that program. It really helped identify some loopholes and weaknesses in my system and get me a little stronger. And I've done the 30 days to healthy living a couple times and have coached people through it, and it's really effective. So again, reach out to me and I can talk you through some of that. I'm going to continue these series as people reach out to me and say, hey, I want to learn about this and I want to know about that. And, just stay in touch with me. You can find me on my website. You can stay in touch with me on my website. I've got, or on social media. I'm totally available. And another little housekeeping note that for those of you that were taking classes with me, the system had changed a little bit April 1st. So you'll want to go to the website, book the class through a scheduler called Culen, and then all the information is automated. Zoom is having some privacy issues. You're probably getting all these notices now. So we'll need passwords for all of the existing classes that are in place. So it's going to be yet more changes down the line, but just stay in touch with me. Okay. So I'd like to close with, I'm going to put my mermaid mug down. That's my friend Merle Aaron gave me that mermaid mug. Oh gosh, years ago. And it is with me every day, along with my little mermaid doll. How the mermaid ended up in the trees, that's another story. But I'd like to close with a little bit of a breathing practice and a mantra, the Heart Sutra mantra. So wherever you are, close your eyes, sit nice and tall, bring the palms together, rub them, feel the heat, the friction in the hands, and then slow it down. Bring the thumbs right to the center of the chest and lift the chest. Drop your chin, close your eyes, and take a very deep, full belly breath in. And exhale out. And again, a very full, deep belly breath in. And exhale out. And one more time, big belly breath in. Open the mouth, exhale out. And let the hands rest on your thighs. And open your eyes. And then close your eyes. And listen to the mantra. It's called the Heart Sutra mantra. And it's a very powerful mantra that generates virtue and progression on your spiritual path. And it also clears negativity and obstacles. So any obstacles in your way, this is a beautiful clearing mantra. Gate gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhi soha. Gate gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhi soha. Gate gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhi soha. Thank you so much for listening and being a part of this connection. Stay close, and I will see you again soon.